Here's the story of Flight 555, a routine passenger service that led up to a near disaster. Stay tuned to find out more about one of the gravest safety incidents that has ever occurred in recent years. A Boeing 737-800 aircraft is being prepared for a passenger service to Cochin, a major port city on the Malabar coast of India. The flight is under the command of a captain holding an air transport pilot license, along with a first officer holding a commercial pilot license. The captain has logged 7,000 hours of flight time, while the first officer has logged 1,500 hours. The operating crew has been trained on the Boeing 737 aircraft and is thus qualified to operate this flight. This service, operating as Flight 555, is operated by Jet Airways, an Indian airline based in Delhi. The airline grew to be one of the largest airlines in India with a 20% passenger market share in 2015. As a matter of fact, the crew, who is about to operate a flight to Cochin, has flown the Cochin-Doha sector on the previous day. The flight was uneventful. After the required rest, the crew is now ready to operate Flight 555, which will take about 4 hours and 30 minutes. The flight departs Doha at 10 p.m. local time with 142 passengers and 6 crew members on board. For the passengers and crew, everything is routine and the flight is uneventful until the top of descent into Cochin. As the aircraft approaches India, it comes in contact with Cochin Air Traffic Control at 4:30 local time. The weather reported by air traffic control at this point is visibility 3,500 meters in haze, few clouds at 1,500 feet, and scattered clouds at 8,000 feet. 45 minutes later, the aircraft arrives overhead Cochin at 5:20 local time with 4,844 kilos of fuel on board. As the pilots prepare the aircraft for landing, they find that visibility in the area is very poor. The haze at Cochin has formed during the previous night following heavy rain. Despite the very low visibility, air traffic control clears Flight 555 for an ILS approach to runway 27. For runway 27, the RVR is 650 meters. The RVR, or runway visual range, is the distance over which a pilot on the center line of the runway can see the runway surface markings. Also, the decision altitude is 320 feet. If the pilots won't be able to acquire visual contact with the runway at this altitude, then a missed approach must be initiated. Before watching Flight 555's first approach, I want to talk to you about Surfshark VPN, a tool that keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all of the information sent between your device and the internet. Think about when you travel the world. Free Wi-Fi connections that you can find in hotels or airports are dangerous. A cyber criminal can easily snitch your credit card info, or a hacker can try to steal your sensitive data. But don't worry, Surfshark will encrypt your online data and help to secure your personal information when you use free public Wi-Fi. Also, Surfshark can swap the real location of your device with a new one by changing your IP address. This way you can virtually travel to any country around the globe. Masking your IP address is essential to becoming private online. In fact, the VPN will make sure that your city, country, and download history are not linked to your identity. Also, did you know that airlines and hotels use different pricing for different countries? Use Surfshark to make a website think you are in another country, and you might come across cheaper holiday deals. If you sign up at Surfshark using this promo code, you will get 3 extra months for free, and on top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out. If you're interested, head over to surfshark.deals/flight. Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to our story. During final approach, the flight crew is not able to make visual contact with the runway due to low clouds, and initiates a go-around at 256 feet by pressing the toga button. After the first go-around, fuel on board is 4,699 kilos. The minimum diversion fuel for the alternate destination, which is Bangalore, is 3,306 kilos. Following the missed approach procedure, the captain joins a holding pattern overhead Cochin. Air traffic control then clears the aircraft to proceed outbound for the second approach. during which the crew begins to discuss the alternate fuel requirements for nearby airports. As Flight 555 proceeds outbound on the second approach, an Air India Express Boeing 737 aircraft operating as Flight 474, which is ahead of Flight 555, carries out a go-around on runway 27. The pilots of Flight 555 continue for a second approach and again, on reaching the decision altitude, fail to see the runway and execute a second go-around. The fuel on board after the second go-around is 3,919 kilos. Following the missed approach procedure, Flight 555 once again joins the holding pattern overhead Cochin, and the crew discusses to redesignate Trivandrum as the alternate destination. Since this airport is closer than Bangalore, it would allow the crew to gain more holding time over Cochin. During this time, the first officer expresses concern about the possibility of visibility dropping further in the area. The captain responds that in case of emergency they can ask for Coimbatore as it is a closer airport than Cochin. However, the weather details for this airport are not obtained by the crew of Flight 555. As Flight 555 enters the holding pattern, another aircraft executes a go-around at Cochin due to being unable to sight the runway. In the following minutes, the pilots decide to attempt another landing, and if unsuccessful, they will divert to Trivandrum. 33 minutes following the second go-around, Flight 555 makes its third approach on runway 27. As the pilots fail to see the runway, a third go-around is initiated. The fuel on board after the third go-around is 2,644 kilos, and the minimum diversion fuel for Trivandrum is 2,614 kilos. After the third go-around, the crew sets course and diverts to Trivandrum. While diverting, Flight 555 climbs 21,000 feet. At about 6:20 local time, the flight comes in contact with Trivandrum Air Traffic Control, which clears the flight for a VOR approach and landing on runway 14. The crew is unable to conduct an ILS approach to the runway because of a calibration issue at the airport. An ILS approach is better than a VOR approach because it is much more precise and gives more accurate lateral guidance. Also, the ILS has a glide slope providing vertical guidance. A VOR approach does not have any vertical guidance. Air Traffic Control clears Flight 555 for landing on runway 14 with a visibility of 2,000 meters. During approach and landing, the crew is unable to sight the runway and initiates a go-around, the first in this area and the fourth of the flight. The fuel on board after the first go-around is 1,324 kilos. The fuel is now getting dangerously low. About 40 seconds after the go-around, as the fuel on board is below 1,300 kilos, Flight 555 declares a mayday due to fuel. After the mayday call, a full emergency is declared at the airport and all the steps are taken as per the standard operating procedures, such as getting ambulance ready, informing city fire services, and also alerting nearby hospitals. As the crew declares a full emergency, Air Traffic Control clears Flight 555 for a visual approach to runway 14. On the second visual approach, the crew is not in visual contact with the runway and sights the runway very late. Therefore, the crew initiates a second go-around. The fuel on board after this go-around is 898 kilos. The captain again requests air traffic control for another visual approach to runway 14. During the sixth approach, the captain is once again not in visual contact with the runway, and once again the crew is late in sighting the runway. Also, the aircraft is too high on approach, and the captain is not able to align the aircraft with the runway's centerline. Therefore, a third go-around is carried by the crew. Fuel on board after 6 go-arounds is just 662 kilos. After carrying the missed approach, the captain performs a left turn and self-positions the aircraft for a landing, this time on runway 32. This maneuver activates the ground proximity warning system caution
Terrain,
which is followed by
terrain, pull up.
The bank angle caution also activates.
Bank angle.
The captain continues the approach with all warnings and with no visual contact with the runway, and finally lands on runway 32, almost blindly, on his 7th attempt at 7:09 local time, 1 hour and 41 minutes after the first go-around. After landing, the total fuel on board is just 349 kilos. Luckily, there was no damage to the plane and there was no injury to any of the occupants on board the aircraft.
Terrain. Pull up. Terrain.
Bank angle. Bank angle. Bank angle. Bank angle.